Good morning. Great to be back in Piscataway for a home game this week. I know it's going to be a great crowd on hand. I think we're closing in on another sellout, which is a great, coming from a place that has over 300 straight sellouts. It's a great tradition to be at the beginning stages of, and the crowd and the atmosphere at home is an energizing force and no doubt an advantage for us come game day, and something I think that could be disruptive to our opponents. We have a great opponent, an excellent opponent coming in to play this week. They are the number one defense in our conference in total defense and scoring defense. They're the number one rushing attack in our conference, and I believe the number 4 scoring attack in our conference. So they've done an excellent job this year. They've got very good players, well coached, and a tremendous challenge for us. Questions?
Kyle, Abdullah and Melvin Gordon, are they equal challenges to defend?
In terms of the challenge, the level of the challenge, I think they are. I think they're different backs. Melvin's a bigger guy, 214 or 217 pound back, a little bit more of a slasher. Abdullah's a little bit more of a quick change of direction guy, but certainly equal challenges when you talk about trying to limit them in the run game.
I know Sunday practice are a little bit different, but just how did Chris do with the first team offense?
I thought Chris did a good job. Yeah, Chris came out. I thought he was sharp. We spend part of the evening doing corrections, and then we just spend the other part of the evening trying to get a little bit of a preview of what we're going to see, coming up this week. So I thought he looked good last night.
And what do you look to see from him just going forward this week, obviously with, Gary's status up in the air?
Yeah, I think the important thing for the quarterback when he's in the game, I think what we saw last week was that Chris will be prepared. I don't have any doubt in my mind that he'll be prepared to play if called upon. And then when you go out there, you got to protect the football. That's the first thing you have to do. You got to manage the offense, and then you got to be a great decision maker. I thought he had a good start and some valuable experience last week doing that.
Kyle, listing Robert Martin as a co-starter now, what did you see from him when you went back and looked at the film, and what did you see from him yesterday?
I'll repeat what I said after the game. I like the way he's running. I like the way he's protecting the football when he's running, and I think that's becoming instinct for him. That's important for a young running back to do that. We need to be more productive in the running game, and the back that we think will give us the best opportunity to do that will be the back that'll get more carries this week coming up. You look at that game and the amount of carries we had, and none of our running backs had to run more than 8 yards. We need to be more productive than that if we're going to be as effective in the run game as we want to be.
Kyle, when do you have to make a decision with game planning and everything and reps with Gary?
The reps will take care of itself. He'll get whatever reps he can handle as we go through the week. The game plan won't change. Gary and Chris have a similar skill set, so that part of it for us is not like Wisconsin where they do some different things with Tanner than they do with the starter. But the decision itself, that decision could come at any point during the week. I'll meet with the medical people later this afternoon, and we'll get some idea of where we think Gary is for tomorrow, and then some kind of projection as the week goes on.
You mentioned Wisconsin's 2 quarterbacks. Obviously they're different players, but can you just describe their differences and what it's like to prepare for that?
Sure. Joel's more conventional, more of your pro-style quarterback. They're the number one rushing attack in our conference. They want to run the football, and because of that, you see a lot of their passes come off of play action. So their first and second down passing game, for the most part, is play action passing, and then you get to third down, you get to more of the drop back stuff when needed. Tanner's a little bit more of a hybrid quarterback, throws the ball very well, but he's somebody that you see as a runner. That you'll see some plays with Tanner that you won't see with Joel.
Kyle, you mentioned their offensive line real quick, and you just mentioned how they want to run the ball. Are they bigger than even some of the offensive lines you've seen? I know they have a right tackle, I think, who's like 330 pounds and one of their best linemen in the conference.
Yeah, but both of their tackles were honorable mention all-conference last year. They're a big physical offensive line. That is what you're going to see in the Big Ten. So it's something that they recruit to. It's not something that's going to be unusual to us. And now for the third week in a row, we're seeing that again. But I think that is what we're going to see in this conference more often than not.
Kyle, your thoughts on facing Tanner McAvoy, just with what his brother meant for this program a couple of years ago as a walk-on?
Yeah, Colin did a great job for us. That was an important part of a lot of wins here at Rutgers, and But in terms of that effect on facing a quarterback from Wisconsin, really, to me, that doesn't have any effect on it. A lot of players in this conference we've gone through the recruiting process with on one level or another, and I'm sure the same could be said for the other teams with players on our team. So, Tanner's a good football player. We're going to prepare for him the way we prepare for everybody.
Kyle, obviously Melvin Gordon's one of the top backs, but they also have Corey Clement, who has pretty good stats too. The challenge of how often do they rotate those guys? Are they similar runners, and what challenges that presents for your defense?
It's about 65-35, I think, in terms of carries. They both get a significant amount of carries. It's not just a one-man show. And Corey's very talented, very similar body types, very similar running styles. So I don't think they lose anything when Corey comes in the game. I think Corey's very talented.
Al, as a former line coach, how hard is it to find players of that size, and is it easier to find them or develop them?
I think you can find them, but you can find the players that size, but you got to find the players that size that have the athletic ability, to do what you want. That's where it becomes unique, because when you recruit in high school, you'll see quite a few guys that have great size, but they won't necessarily move as well as you need them to. The developing part is crucial. There's no doubt about it. You look at the guys that play for them on the offensive line. 4 of their players are redshirt juniors, seniors, or redshirt seniors. They've come through their program and have developed to the point that they're at now. So I think the recruiting is the first part, the developing is the second part. Rob Smith, when I first got the head job here, we sat down and we were just talking, broad philosophy, and I said, talk to me about Kirk Ferentz. Talk to me about how they do it at Iowa, because he had worked at Iowa. And that was exactly their slogan. It was recruit and develop, recruit and develop. And that's what you have to do. You got to recruit the body types that you're looking for, and then you have to have a system in place that you can develop them through.
As a follow-up, do you admire a program like that that's able to sustain that this is their identity, they want these big bodies and this style of play?
I do. I like people who know who they are. They're not. This is not a group that is going to change a lot from week to week. They know exactly what they want to be. They know exactly what their formula for success is, and when they execute it, they've been very successful.
Just I guess another general question: is what are the strengths of the defense to be ranked number 1 in the conference?
Here's what I think the strength of their defense is. They play tremendous 11-man defense. If you look at them statistically, there are 3. First of all, there are 3-4 base. They play some multiple fronts, so they have some 4-down fronts in their system. Their leading tacklers are in the middle with their 2 middle linebackers and their safety, but the leading TFL guys on their defense are on the outside. So they're getting production in a lot of different areas, and I think that speaks to me that they play team defense. They play 11-man defense, and that's why they've been as successful as they have been statistically.
Kyle, I know the fronts are different, but the fact that they play like a multiple style and they're not, the biggest guys in the world, how, in what ways do they remind you of your own defense?
Well, you say that, but they've got a 290-pound nose guard, a 270-pound defensive end, 220, 30, 30, 203, 3 out of their 4 linebackers are 230 pounds. So I'm not sure that description is completely accurate. But here's where there are some similarities. They're going to give you some different looks. They're going to move, and they're going to run to the ball very well. And I think those are things that we do on defense as well.
Illinois is the latest Big Ten team to put a spotter up in the press box to look for injuries. Have you done any of those measures?
We have somebody up there.
And what are you looking for when you do that?
Well, that's probably a better question for the medical staff, what exactly they're looking for. But that person has a direct line to our trainer on the sideline. So if at any point there's an issue, we know about it immediately and we can address it.
Kyle, you talked about the size of Wisconsin's D-line, and there's always so much made about how you guys always go smaller, quicker. Does anything that happened the last 2 games or just going into the Big Ten make you think, okay, we need to get a little bigger there?
I feel like we have gotten bigger over the last couple of years. If you look at the size of our players now compared to some of those defenses from 2005, 6, and 7, I feel like we have gotten bigger. And you're always trying to recruit the biggest athlete that can do what you want him to do within your system. I think that's where the secret lies. And for us as we go forward, if we can recruit a bigger player who can do what we want him to do, we certainly would welcome that.
Will Josh Hicks go back to safety this week?
Josh Hicks will stay at safety this week, correct?
Kyle, just judging by the injury report with Bajari questionable, is Muller taking reps at center again, or?
If Batim's unable to practice, Muller will take reps at center. If Batim is able to practice tomorrow, then that won't be the case.
Talk about the D line. What do you guys have to do better to up front? Do you feel like?
I don't think it's the D line. I think as a defense, they're a great example. They're playing great 11-man defense, and I think what we need to do is we got to be a little bit more disruptive. We got to get some of these plays disrupted before they get started. I think as we do that, we'll play better defense as a unit.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Sorry. Anthony Chaffee had his first career interception the other day, and obviously Boggs didn't play and is questionable again. Can you just talk about Chaffee, I guess, kind of getting back into the mix a little bit?
I was excited. Yeah, I thought Anthony had a productive game and some things that he can do better, but he had a great tackle as a flyer on punt. He did some nice things in special teams, had the interception. He's somebody who's played a significant amount of football for us for a guy who's only, really a true sophomore right now. So, as he continues to get better, it'll be very valuable to us on defense, and he'll play more for sure. Thank you.